Hey, what's up? I'm Mike Squires, and this is Couchers Podcast number 132, and my guest, Bob Wayne. If you are not familiar with Bob Wayne, you should stop, go listen to his music, and then come back here and check out this conversation because, I mean, I've I have met Bob and hung with him a little bit, but Bob is like no one I've ever met before, probably not like anyone you've ever met before, and is a fella who's living his life on his terms, and it's a wonderful, beautiful thing. You don't know anyone doing this, probably, and neither do I. Not anyone else. Uh, Nobody's gonna tell Bob what he can and cannot do, and I love that. So I had a great time talking to him. I'm not even gonna give anything away. He's just like doing exactly what he wants. That's what you need to know. And then you need to know that his music is killer too. And he's got a new single that was produced by Shooter Jennings and it's out. That's great. So I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did, because I fucking loved it. Uh if you are enjoying the Couches podcast, please, by all means, go check out our Patreon. You can get some exclusive merch there. You can get audio downloads of new Couch Riffs videos, the ones with the performances there. That's the only place it's available. And we just released a new video last night that was part of a charity benefit for Seattle Children's Hospital for the Smooch organization. Had a super all star, like we had Ben Gibbard, Duff McKagan, Isaac Brock, and Mark Lanigan singing verses of Highwayman. It's pretty good. I've been working on it for a long time. These things are a lot of work, and it, I'm super happy with it. So go check that out on KEXP's channel, the YouTube channel, and then it'll eventually land on mine as well. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Um, Thank you to River City Guitars. I'm really like even slower than normal right now because it's morning, and like this is how far I am into my first cup of coffee. Like not very far, so sorry. Hang in there. Just hang in there with me. I want to thank River City Guitars. River City Guitars has been they've had my back from day one, since before day one, honestly. I mean, this bad boy right here, I came from River City Guitars. My hot pink Steve Stevens Hamer thing is a bad jammer. Um, River City Guitars is a very cool little guitar store in Spokane, Washington, specializing in vintage, used, and just generally really cool instruments and amplifiers and effects. So follow them on social media at River City Guitars. You're always going to see stuff go up there first before the website, and go check out their website periodically. They'll post things up there in batches. They can't really. It's hard to keep up, But what they do? They also buy a lot of stuff. They specialize in used and vintage stuff. Where do you think that stuff comes from? From folks like you. So if you have something you want to get rid of, it's the holidays. You want to maybe come up with some money. 509 Ask for my boy Bobby, or drop him an email, sales.rivercityguitars@gmail. Include a picture of what you got, and they're very fair folks. They're going to give you a good price for whatever you're trying to move, and I love it. So there. Look, we're going to get into it. Don't forget the golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated. It's so easy, right? No one wants to get treated like shit, so don't treat people like shit, and don't be a dick. It's really that's everything. Oh, dude, can you hear me? You can't hear me? What the fuck, man? I'm having so many ghosts in the machine. There you are.
You don't want to get his new boots dirty. And then, like they said, there was even a pair I think he had his
Do
new
you,
pair of boots in his in the.
do you hear that?
That sounds weird, right?
Oh, I hear you now. Were you watching a program while you were waiting for me?
So you know what happened is my Bluetooth was hooked up out on my porch, and there was YouTube playing, and I didn't realize that my JBL was connected to my phone. So you probably heard some true crime there.
Well, yeah, there was something about some boots or something, and I was like, "Are we picking up someone else's shit right now? That's incredible, dude." Sorry,
Yeah.
you know what? I at this point in my semi, like, who are we fucking kidding? In my non-professional career, uh, I should have known. You know, I've learned enough lessons about updating software and operating systems to know that I just should probably never do it.
Oh, right.
And if it ain't broke, don't break it.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, sometimes it's kind of bit me in the ass too. But then sometimes I'm like, wow, this is cool. It's all fresh
Sure.
and new, you know. Well, some things you have to, like, you know, like Adobe Premiere and stuff like that, because they do release some like cool stuff. But yeah, sometimes with the operating systems and stuff, I don't know, it's crazy.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, dude.
So,
Do you
uh,
remember me?
yeah, of course,
I
of
remember you too,
course.
man. From I
Yeah,
think the last time we hung out was, I think I want to say, at Don Robertson's house in
God, you bet.
in like Ballard or something, or you were playing in was it Loaded or Three
Yeah.
Inches of Blood, or no,
No,
Loaded.
those guys were all there though.
Yeah, and I went to see your show too. Yeah,
How you?
yeah,
It's been a long time.
it really has been like
There's a
10
lot of
years.
life. A lot of life has happened. It's been at least 10, maybe 11.
Yeah, that was when I was living in Seattle still. So yeah. So
So,
I basically moved out of Seattle right after that. So
and I mean, you're on the road a lot. Uh-oh, we got a bad connection.
yeah, I've been. Uh-oh, is that me?
Hold on,
I'm right by.
I'm gonna switch connections. We're gonna fucking do a little dipsy
Is it
doodle
still
for a
bad?
second. Here,
Is
we're
it still
back
bad?
now. Yeah, we're good. No, we're okay.
Okay, I'm just gonna open up maybe the window. I
I mean, if you want to air it out, that's cool.
don't know. I don't know if the Wi-Fi gets blocked through the window or not, but yeah, I've been on. Yeah, it's been crazy, dude. I was thinking about it, with obviously with the pandemic, we have a lot of time to think, but like I haven't had this downtime like this in like 15 years. You
That's
know, it's been crazy. So, yeah, but I've been liking it. I mean, I hate it for, money wise, but like peace of mind wise, it's good.
right. Well, we have a different set of stresses, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny when you break down, like I broke down the other day, and I was like, wow, it's so weird to like break down and not be like calling a promoter or like worried about how we're gonna get there. Like I don't even care. It's like, take your time. Like I can shit, no big deal. I'm used to like having to like find a place in the middle of Spain in a desert and try to like figure, and get to the gig, and wherever the hell you break down. I've broke
Right.
down in every country in Europe, every state in America almost. I mean,
Have you been up to Alaska?
I've never been to Alaska.
Ala- That's weird for a Washingtonian.
I know. I've been close. I actually toured Canada, and I got up to into the Yukon and stuff, but I didn't actually go to Alaska. But I have some friends up there.
We're up into the Yukon. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Uh, you were like the the epitome of DIY. Like,
I mean, I guess you kind of have to. I feel like at the level that I'm at. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I mean, I think that people who think that they're doing things themselves, you could probably teach a master class, right?
I probably could. I mean, I have like, and I have stage setups now, like in Brazil, in Europe, in America, in America. I have a couple setups: a West Coast setup, a mid, my Alabama, like little
Right.
headquarters. So it's like little satellites. So when I fly to Europe, I go unlock the storage, and we have a Mercedes Sprinter with all my own gear. I own the car. I own the gear. I'm my own
That's your
driver.
Sprinter in a parking place full of gear.
Yeah, and clothes. In fact, I had to like start
You
bringing
fly
back.
in with just like a carry-on?
Yeah, but TSA, I had to start like bringing something. So, because they're like, "Why are you're leaving the country with no bags?" I'm like, "Yo, man, I got a car and all I have toothbrush, clothes. I have a whole European set." They're looking at me like, "You? Yeah, right, man. Come on, follow us." Like they're wondering why I'm leaving the country with nothing, because I thought it'd be great to be like, "Look, man, I don't fly with anything," you
Right.
know. I
And
just like
instead
walk.
they're like, "Come with us, sir."
Yeah, exactly that. So I started getting into filming stuff. So now I at least have my film bag with full of all. So usually my carry-on's just a bunch of camera gear and stuff.
That's so so you have a vehicle, where do you leave it? Where's your point of entry? Where's your
Right now, Germany,
yeah,
but I can fly in anywhere. So what I'll do is I'm a really like also like a really cheap budget traveler. So because that's how we have to do it, right? If we're gonna
right.
be DIY, and I'm at like a pretty small level, like, but I can like make as much as someone who might be a higher level
Of
of
course.
like selling out like 1,500 places or something. But I do it by like keeping everything down. So I'll find like $150 flight to like Barcelona, and then or wherever I can find a flight to for really cheap, because you can find really cheap flights if you look and if you're flexible. And so I'll go early, and then I'll just take a train or a flex bus or something to the van,
Right.
and then I have a van that's mine.
How
And then
long have you had this van just sitting there waiting for you
well
whenever
I
you want to tour there?
so I started touring in Europe in 2008. Was my first one, and we used to have to rent everything.
Right.
And it was all we would work. So that was back when I had a job. I was working construction in Seattle. So I would like work. We would save up all our money. Even the band would save up. We'd buy our own tickets. We'd rent the gear. And then, we'd have like 10 or 20 people at our shows. And we were like, yeah,
Well,
like
yeah, you're there, you're doing it. It's like,
yeah, even though it was like I remember like the first 10 people at like Rotterdam, and then fast forward 10 years, we're playing a festival with the same guys now who are now running the festival and have their own successful like barbershop, the Schwarm barbershop guys. And there's like 5,000 people in there, and we're like, it's going nuts. So it's crazy. But yeah, we started really small. And what ended up happening was, I remember I did the tour I did in 2009. I had done like 3 tours, so I started hitting Europe pretty hard because we had a little thing happening in Holland and Belgium, and then I got to open up for Hank 3, and that's what. After that tour, we took all the merch money that we made from that, and we just said, okay, because at the end of the tour, it was like 6 grand for the van.
right.
They used to say they tell you, everyone tells you, you need a driver, you need a this, you can oh no, you have to have a driver, you have to have a bit, you can't, it's Europe, so it seems scary, right? Because you're like, oh my God, it's another country. But
Well, yeah, there's a whole industry built around it. They
when
want
I
your
got
money.
there, yeah, when I got there, there was a couple times where I was like, the driver was like trying to like park the van and trailer. He had a trailer connected, and I was like, I'm sitting in the passenger seat, like, I'm like, all right, bro, just get out. Let me do it. Then I would do it, and he would be, then pretty soon I'm like, why is this guy here? Like, it's no different than America. It's
Right.
just, I mean, there's different rules, but if you can drive a car, I mean, England can be a little weird, and the wrong
Opposite.
or the
Yeah.
other side of the road. That took some. That was fun. That's funny how I learned that shit. But yeah, I
So
figured it out.
was the renting a van, was having a driver built into renting a van? Did the driver come with the van rental?
It depended. So we did it a couple ways. So we
Yeah.
did one with a whole package. Then we like rented a van and had thought we had to have a driver because I don't know. I just thought that's what vans do.
Well, I
You
think
know?
you're an adventure. Clearly, you are an adventurous guy, and you don't have a
Yeah.
travel fear. But even with musicians who are generally not like your typical American citizens, right? Where they're like afraid of
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
They'll listen to if someone says, "Oh, you have to have a driver here because signs and stuff."
Yeah.
Yeah, Google Maps or
Yeah.
Maps.
Yeah. It
Maps.
depends on it depends. Like I see a lot of and I get a lot of times because we'll end up playing like, festivals, big festivals, and or some of our shows are sold out and stuff. And I'll get out of the van and I'll be looking, and they're like, "You drive yourself?" Like they've never seen that before. I'm like,
Right.
"You've never seen that?" They're like, "No, no, no singer. Usually he's in the back of the van."
You're like, shit, man, I knit my own socks.
Yeah, yeah, I was like, yeah, I used to. I still burn my own CDs. I do it all. I still sell a lot of CDs. I burn them myself.
Right.
Nobody sells CDs. I mean, it's funny. Nobody's like making CDs hardly anymore.
Right. You get yourself a vinyl, like what do you call it? Acetate cutter yet?
No, oh hell no, I'm not doing that. I looked into it, but that's like some shit's just not worth it.
Right. Did you look at
Got
some
to
of
be.
those DIY kits? There's like, because I started to look at that.
Yeah, I looked at a couple of it, but it just looked like I was like, okay, I'm also all about like quick and dirty.
Well, yeah,
You
you
know,
gotta make it work. If it's going to take you, well, you got to
it,
look at how it breaks down.
right. And it's just like, yeah, I'd just rather just get those made. But um, yeah,
So you're in Alabama now.
I am in Alabama right now.
So
Yeah.
you're not in your house right now, right?
No, my house is so I bought a house, but it was condemned. And so I bought this property back in 2012 just because I had, my motorhome, a camper, a school bus, a limousine, a van, two vans, like all these cars stacking up at all my friends' houses. And so everyone was kind of like, I felt bad. So I found this property for like 12 grand.
What the fuck were you doing with a limousine?
I used to tour in a limo.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I
how you
toured
toured.
I toured for 2 years in America in a Cadillac limousine. I would
with the,
drive it,
with
and
all
I
the
would have all
band
the
and the
gear
gear.
in the back. We would fit the whole band, so you would fit, you know, we would fit all the gear in the middle, and you
Yeah.
basically had your little spot by the each.
Yeah.
And then we would put all the gear in. Yeah, it's a big black limo. I mean, I don't know if I
You
can
still have
walk.
it?
Yeah, it's right out here.
That's amazing. Yeah, let's see if we can get it.
Huh?
Let's see if we can get it. That's
Let me
incredible.
see if I can change the direction of my. Is that working?
Oh, so you're in your camper right now.
I'm in
There's
my
your problem.
motorhome. This is the John Deere motorhome. So I lived in here, toured in here. All these are old tour vehicles that I have out here. So I used to tour in this and live in this. So I
Wow.
had this parked in Nashville for years. But we'll go.
Yeah, let's have a look.
So this
There's
is
a
the
school bus
property.
over there.
This is the
There's the
property.
limo.
Huh?
There's the limo.
Yeah, there's a limo. Hopefully we don't lose.
Holy
Tell me if we
shit.
lose connection.
How
So
many
there's a school
pieces was
bus.
your band?
there's the school bus. There's the John Deere motorhome. That's what we were just in.
Yeah.
That's the
Hmm.
house, but I'm reconstructing. The house is all gutted out right now. I'm getting sheetrock and stuff. I've been like working on that. There's the garbage piles.
You got a boat, Bob?
I got a boat that has a tree growing through it over there.
There's a tree growing through it.
Yeah,
You might want to
I need to
get that checked out before you put it in the drink.
Can you see the limo?
Yeah.
So I used to tour in that, dude.
Look at them
You know how
horns.
rad that was? Pulling up to and it has bull horns on the front. They're off. They fell off, but I got to get these back on. But yeah,
I gotta
so
say,
there's, you know,
Bob, that is about.
I used to tour in this bad boy, dude. This bad boy right here. I used to freaking just mob across America in that for a couple years until I got a drummer. Because we used to do it just like a string band. And then once I got a drummer, because we used to do it just bass, fiddle, guitar, no drums, bluegrass style. And then once I got a drummer, I had to upgrade into something bigger. So now we got this bad boy here where I built bunk beds and I have my own room in the back. And this guy here, she trucks, man.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
Bob. So
I'm out in the country.
yeah, me
There's
too.
nothing out here. No neighbors. I just sit out here and light off fireworks and shit. You guys want to light off some fireworks?
Why not?
Should we-
Hey, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
I have so many questions. So is this your? Wait a minute. Are we walking into your kitchen?
This is my kitchen.
It's so your
I
kitchen
just
is
made breakfast.
outdoors at the moment.
Yeah, my kitchen's outdoors. That's my stove.
Because
It has a little burner,
because inside is ripped up.
Yeah.
So
There's I played whacking open air.
oh yeah.
You know whacking?
Yeah, of course.
And they made me that's a neon light. That's pretty cool.
That's great, man.
So yeah.
I've enjoyed seeing your little friend pop up occasionally on your Instagram, the possum.
Oh yeah, the possum. Yeah.
What's up with the possum?
He's there's a mom and there's actually 3 possums now. So they live like under the porch, I think. So that when I came here, this house was abandoned for 20 years before I bought it.
Whoa.
And then after I bought it, after I bought the house, it was abandoned for another 10 years, with me abandoning it.
Oh, you bought it 10 years ago?
Yeah. So I bought it because I was on tour. I know nothing about the town. I don't know one person. I know a couple people here, but they live, like 2.
Right.
But I was on tour playing this random town, and there was like one fan, literally one guy in the crowd who knew who we were. And he was like, "You want to stay at our house? We got an extra." We were like, "Hell yeah." So we went there, and then he ended up talking about this property that him and his wife were looking at because it was, 6 acres of woods, and there was even a house on it, and it was 40 grand, and they dropped it to 25. And then I was like, well, shit. I've been saving up for a down payment. I had $12,000 saved up. So I ended up calling the realtor that next, and just that next morning or whatever, and ended up driving out here. And I said, hey, man, I'm actually just rolling through right now, but I got $12,000 in my boot right now. I was like, hey, man, if you, he goes, well, she wants 20. He goes, we haven't had an offer in 10 years on this thing. So he called her up. She was a 90-year-old lady in a nursing home. She picks up the phone. I can hear her. It was on speaker. He goes, hey, hello, Miss Williams. We got an offer on the house. It's a cash offer. He goes, it's only, he's only got 12,000, but I'm looking at it. And I was just standing there with a stack of cash like that, 12 grand. And she's like, take it. And
Wow.
so I went down, I filled out the paperwork, and they handed me the thing. And I
Yeah.
bought, 6 acres of Alabama, and then I never came back here really. I like got my cars down here, and then I kind of abandoned it. I'd come like maybe 2 weeks a year to check on it or something. Like I never really hung out here because the house was really bad shape.
So was there
And
electricity and was the electricity running to the house still? And was that
yeah. So I did call the power company, and they turned on the power. The lights still worked, and then I flushed the toilet. I got the water company. All the pipes were broken. I fixed those, and then this whole kitchen was rotted out. There was a fire. There was a
oh
fire
my
up there. This
God.
was the kitchen. So all the sheetrock looked really bad, and that whole floor is brand new.
Right.
So even underneath. So I had to take the
Subfloor, yeah.
whole floor out because the whole house was like caved in here. Like I cut in those French doors. I rebuilt that whole wall and that wall. I've done a lot. This
This is
house, this house
crazy.
wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, real bad shape, but
What about the roof?
the roof only had a couple leaks, and we just patched them up.
You didn't but eventually you're going to have to replace that thing. It's 30 years old.
Well, the roof is good. Like the wood of the cool thing is this house was made with really good lumber back in the
Yeah.
day.
Oh
So
yeah.
the roof is good, but yeah, I'll put a a metal roof on it eventually.
And so are you going to build a studio out here? A living slash recording space?
No, because I'm not really a recording guy. Like the thing is, it's like I know so many people in Nashville, in Atlanta, in LA that already have that. So it's kind of like not a good use of I'll figure out like enough to do like a demo, but I've already figured that out on my phone, like I basically can write song. I have enough to like write a song, and I'm only 2 hours from Atlanta. If I have to cut vocals for something, I can drive and go to my buddy's real studio and hit it for
Right.
real. So yeah, my real plan with this place is well, I write a lot here. I've been writing a lot. It's really good place to be creative because it's just so quiet.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just really isolated out here. But
Have you had
but
any visitors?
what I want to do, there's another uh house on this property that's kind of condemned. We can't walk over there. My Wi-Fi is not enough,
Right.
but it's way out there in the woods,
And it's in real bad.
that way. So what I'm gonna do, but it's like what this house was.
Right.
It's like what this. It's like it's bad shape, but I don't think you need to tear it down. Like they told me I needed to tear this house down, and I was like, nah, I'll just gut it and fix the stuff. So what I want to do is, I did this last year or a couple years ago, where a group of Europeans that wanted to come on their trip to America, they called me and they're like, we would like to, visit you. And I was like, all right. They're like, what would you charge to like be our tour guide for like, a week and drive us around and show us? And I was like, I don't know. What would I charge for something like that? And I was like, well, if you guys want to ride my bus, I'll provide all the, all the transportation, and you could sleep in there. And for a week, I was like $500 a head, for I think it was a little over a week. It was like 10 days. I was like $500 a head. I'll pick you up at the airport. I'll drive you down to Mississippi, Louisiana. I'll be a tour guide. And so it was like, I did that, and I ended up having just an amazing time. I took them like gator watching and the
Wow.
swamp tours, and all these, Swedish people who'd never been to America were like, I was taking them to truck stops, Walmarts. They
Right.
loved Walmart. They were like, oh. So now I have this huge property, and I have a school bus that holds 89 people. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw a huge party out here next year. I'm getting it ready right now. I'm going to build like a bunch of campsites. I'm only going to sell 50 tickets. and we're gonna do it'll be 50 people because I'm playing this festival. Well, I don't know if I should. Fuck it. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it right now because it's not all confirmed.
Oh, you don't have to
Because,
say it.
but I can talk about it. It's okay because I know the guy really well, and it's basically just pending on COVID.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, of
it's by
course.
September of next year. If COVID is better and everything's back to normal, he's gonna have his festival. It's called Muddy Roots. I'm gonna play there. We're gonna basically. It's a really cool like underground like music festival with camping, which is great. You can, and
Right.
it's the old school style. Like you can bring your ice chest, and
Yeah.
nobody cares. Like it's out in the woods. There's 80 bands. It's
Wow.
out in Tennessee. So I'm only like 4 hours from that. So I was like, okay, I put together this package, a party. They're gonna come to Alabama, 50 people only. They camp here for 5 days. And during the camping here, I take them to the swamp tours, Mississippi, Louisiana. I'm like 4 hours drives from all that stuff. So then we just party out here for 5 days. Then everyone loads up in the bus with their tents, their sleep
Amazing.
bags, and we roll to this festival and camp there for 4 days while we're all play with the full band. And then after that, I'll drop everyone off at the airport. And so, and I'll turn that other abandoned house out there into like a speakeasy bar with like really weird like animal heads and like red lit, like just fucked up Devil's Rejects bar out in the middle of the Alabama woods.
How long do you think it'll be before you're done with the main house?
I don't. It's close. It's basically about $5,000 away. Maybe. Well, not the kitchen.
I'm gonna
Without the
throw up some
kitchen,
drywall. Is the electrical all run? It
all
looks
the
like it's
electrical's
some stuff.
done. So basically, it's gonna cost about $3,000 for the sheet. I'm basically about maybe $5,000 or $6,000 away from the inside here getting finished, but not the kitchen. Which I'm gonna make this porch into the kitchen. I'm gonna close all this in, then the porch. Close
Yeah. Uh-oh, I just lost
all
you.
this. I'm gonna close that. We put windows and make this a kitchen. So that added an extra bedroom in here. Yeah, it's just
Wow.
basically it's basically money. Whenever I get enough money for that, we'll do that. But yeah, I have
What
enough
a
places to sleep. Like I have a camper, I have a school bus, I have.
what a great place you sorted out to hunker down for this year. Like
Yeah,
imagine
you know
if
what's
you didn't have this.
crazy? Yeah, it's funny because a lot of my friends, like in Nashville, were all like, when I bought this place 10 years ago, they're like, "What the hell are you thinking, dude? Like, what are you gonna do?" Way out. I was like, man, I actually like being out in the woods, and it doesn't matter. A guy like guys like us, if you tour a lot and stuff, it really doesn't matter where you live
Right.
as long as you're like near an airport. Like where I sit when I'm not on tour doesn't matter. I could be in anywhere. So I prefer to be, because you get a lot of city and people and traffic, and like I said, I'm the driver. So by the end of it, I'm ready for some downtime out here. Of course, I never really came out here before, but until now, this is the most time I've ever spent out here.
And this has all been this year. This all of the reconstruction of the house has happened this year in the sort of forced
The
slowdown.
No, no. When I
Oh,
first got it, I did come out for like I would come out like a couple weeks and just bang out like the construction of the. It's been a slow process.
got it.
Yeah, so I have been out here before. And I had like I rebuilt the floor, I jacked the house, I did the bathroom, redid the whole bathroom.
You
Uh,
jacked the house up,
we had to jack that. The house was sinking in.
so you had to fix
So
it.
we actually just got a car jack and just like jacked I don't know what you know.
I mean, I've
That's
seen people do that.
You don't need building permits in Alabama, too. That's another beautiful thing. Out here, nobody cares. You just jack your house up, throw some cinder blocks underneath it. We're good.
Well, it's only illegal if you get caught.
There you go. That's
Well,
funny.
how amazing, how crazy. But wait a minute. I swear to God, I think it was when we met, when we were. It was also a Don Robertson occasion, and we were moving him. I think, right? Were we moving Don?
Yeah, we probably were. Yeah, to L.A.
And
Or was it L.A. or was it Queen or Capitol Hill?
no, it was
I,
L.A.
okay,
It was the Century Media House. I think.
cool. Yeah, he's still there.
Is that right?
So yeah, yeah. I
Amazing.
go there all the time. I was living there a little bit. Here,
Wow.
I stay there all the time still. Yeah.
Uh, were you living in a storage space there for a while in Seattle?
I used to live in storage units, but well, actually, I've lived in storage units in Tri-Cities.
Right.
But in Seattle, they had band practice rooms.
Oh yeah.
So there used to be this place called NAF Studios. Do you
Yeah,
remember
of
that?
course.
So I used to live at NAF, and I would have we would have our band room there, and we put a couch in there. So I would just like stay in the
Sleep.
band room, and there was a bathroom for the bands.
Yeah.
And that's back when I was like drinking and stuff. So, and it was cool because it was like all Alice in Chains gear was there, all Soundgarden's gear, and it was back a long time ago, and so I would live in my rehearsal room for a long time, and Naff was cool. Mark Naff, he
Yeah.
was. We weren't supposed to do that, but I would help like pick up trash at rave after they would have rave parties and stuff. So I would just kind of like they knew I was there, but they kind of just turned their turned their head because he liked me and we were I was really like I didn't like cause problems. I just like basically would just like hide in my room,
Right.
my band room because in Seattle, after it was even back in the 1900s, it was a little expensive, when you didn't make a lot of money, and so you know, with the band room, we would share the cost of a $350 a month band room. So my share was like $50 or whatever, $75,
Great.
and there was a bus stop outside, and I would go take the bus to like Red Robin or wherever I was working at the time, and yeah.
Dude. So let me ask you this. I forgot until we were texting that you were from the Tri-Cities.
Yeah,
And it's a little bit of a weird place, right? I mean, it's like
it really
it's pretty American by nature, just like the heart of America, but it's also the location of a nuclear power plant and some
a
other
nuclear waste.
research, yeah, waste dump and research.
They built the atom bomb that destroyed Japan in that town,
Well,
and Einstein has visited there. There's pictures of Einstein in the Hanford nuclear place, like back in the day.
right.
So yeah, this place is kind of a crazy, weird military Hamp nuclear. They have a mountain with like a missile silo. Like if the missiles that go into space would come from there, I think. Like they made warheads there.
Um,
But there's also been a crazy music scene there, like especially in the late 1900s. There was a crazy little awesome music scene. I know Isaac and Mark and all those guys. There even goes deeper, like Nate from Foo Fighters,
he's
Nate
from there,
Nendos
right?
from Richmond, and
The
actually
Autry's are from there.
singer was in a band with him. So like we're all kind of if you like do family trees of like old bands, it's like it goes to like some pretty kind of big places. Foo Fighters is pretty big.
It doesn't get much bigger than that.
Yeah, and so there's been a lot there. I've always thought there's something about there's some musical stuff happening there that's like I don't know what it is, but like think Isaac's a magician on the drums,
Yeah,
and
wizard,
and
yeah.
even like a bunch of people that didn't like get out of there, they just ruled in there though. It was a great place to be in the 90s for sure.
Um, did you see yourself getting out of there as quickly as possible? Did you leave
Yeah. No,
right
I
as soon as
had
you
a lot of problems with the police back then.
the fuck out of here? When you were drinking, you had problems with the police?
And that it's one of those small towns where basically if you're out at night, you're getting stopped, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the only reason they need. And of course I wasn't 21, and of course I was hammered and coming back from a show at the Hoedown or whatever, and they would always I just became a target. And I had literally 6 MIPs, 6 MICs, so 6 minor consumptions, just basically just drinking, nothing crazy. But the judge literally after my 6th one, he gave me like something crazy like 45 days. And I was like, what the fuck? And then he was like, if you get one more, I'm going to give you the full maximum, which was like a year or something. Like they can give you like a lot for that, but they never do.
So as
Like
a 20-year-old, you had to go do 45 days in county or
county.
what
So
the
basically
fuck?
when I got out of there, I knew I wasn't going to be able to quit drinking. And I had a friend that was like living in Olympia. So my plan was to move to Olympia because I knew I knew I was going to get arrested again. I just knew it. So
Yeah.
basically, I really feel like the cops like ran me out of there, which is a good thing because I ended up going to Olympia, living in my car in Olympia for a while, and then meeting some other musicians and stuff. And then we got together and there was a house in Seattle, which we actually took over this house in Capitol Hill, and like we had like 11 people living there. It was crazy. So our rent was really cheap because we had so many people. It was all skaters and punks.
Right.
We actually tore the walls down, built a half pipe. We would have shows in the house.
Where was this house at? Was it on the backside, like heading down into?
It was on 16th and Fur.
Oh,
16th and Fur Street. So up in the Central District, actually.
yeah,
It was kind of in the CD part,
yeah,
but
of course, yeah.
we had like some cool shows there. Like Tad played there, not as the band Tad, but I think it was like Hog Molly maybe or something, or one
Uh-huh.
of Tad,
Rad.
crazy bands. He actually like came there, and we had some good shows in there, man. Yeah.
So you were in punk bands growing up.
Punk metal,
Yeah.
metalish, punkish, yeah, alternative, whatever, Yeah, that's all I used to play. The Bob Wayne thing came when I was like, I think I wrote my first Bob Wayne song when I was 22, and I was still not Bob. I was still playing in the metal stuff, and even my band members were like, "Dude, what is that?" I was like, "I don't know," like, but I kind of like it, you know. I was like, "I don't know," because I loved Johnny Cash
Sure.
always, and even as we were like punk metal guys, we were listening to David Allen. We came from Tri Cities, so we
Right.
listened to Waylon, David Allen Coe, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, Slayer, Pantera, Mega, and then all the punk bands and underground, Carp, Melvins, Tad, we were listening to all this stuff. So we listened to it all, you know.
And so when did you decide I'm not doing the metal thing? I'm not, like I'm gonna
So,
commit myself full time to this.
well, what happened was, uh, my metal band, everyone died pretty much. Like 2 people died, overdosed.
Yeah.
Everyone was doing drugs, heroin, and we were really like kind of fucked up on drugs. And it was just like became then the drummer got sober and the rest of us were still using. The band just kind of, having a band like that, and we were like brothers, and we were like in a band for the whole since I was in high school. So we were like this, like we lived in a bunk bed where the drummer slept on top, I slept in the middle, the bass player slept under the bed. You know what I mean? Like we lived like that for years. And we were like tied together. You know how a band can be like back when a band was like that, I feel like I hope there's still bands like that. But for me, I haven't seen that since back then. But so what happened was the band just kind of disintegrated. Also, we would play shows, and no one really, it wasn't like anything happened. Like we would get
That
on some good shows.
pretty
We
fucked
would
up
play at the
also,
off
right?
ramp. We got on the off ramp. This is back. You remember Uncle Rocky's, and
Of course.
Uncle Rocky's would put us on. I used to work at the KFC on Broadway,
Uh-huh.
and I was actually 19, and I couldn't get into Uncle Rocky's. But you know how he would have bands all the time, and he would let me into the shows, and I would bring the food for the band that he would book. They would have food part of their deal, so I
Uh-oh.
would bring buckets of chicken, and he would let me in, and I would trade chicken for entry to shows, and then uh, the band disintegrated basically,
Yeah.
and then we sorry, I keep like going all over the
No,
place.
this is how we do it around here.
I start like thinking, and then I'm like remembering Uncle Rocky's. Oh yeah, I'm remembering it all. But basically, what happened was I ended up getting sober, and then after I got sober, by that time, the band was over, and it was kind of like this new like chapter in my life. I was sober. I didn't play
So
guitar
this
for.
is the 90s. This is like mid to late
Now
90s.
we're early. Now we're early 2000s.
Okay.
2002. I got sober in 2001 or
Almost
two.
20 years, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm going on 19 years.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, so after I got sober, I didn't really play my guitar, and I was kind of depressed because the band and the couple band members OD'd and died, and it was like just like bad times at Richmond High. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Bad
man, it's fucking
times,
dark.
dark times, and then what happened was I kept writing those weird country songs. I call it weird country because it wasn't like country. It's kind of weird. And I would do it for like my nephews and nieces. Like we'd have a camp out, and I would play like Ghost Town, or I would write these songs just for them. I'd kind of like given up on the idea of like trying to start another band. And I was like, I joined the union. I was going to work construction. And then what happened was I broke my back working construction. So that put me out of construction for a while. And I ended up landing a job as a guitar tech for Hank 3.
Huh.
Yeah, he's like the king of the fucking underground country world. You know what I mean?
Right.
And punk and metal and all. Like, he's up. He's like he was, and I had seen him live before, and it blew my mind.
He's
Like
someone that you have a lot of musical kinship with.
right. And when I saw him live, I actually remember thinking the first time I saw him, it was at the off ramp, and I was there. I was so depressed when I left the show because I was like, I will never have a band that good with this country stuff. Because I tried to jam with a couple people, and it was like they don't know how to play banjo in Seattle really, or
Huh.
fiddle. There's not
I
a
get
lot.
it.
I remember literally thinking I will never have a band that good. And the funny thing is,
What happened to the audio?
uh-oh, did I lose
What
you?
happened? Well, no, is there something on your microphone? There you are.
Shit.
Oh,
Is it?
it's so weird.
Is it weird?
Yeah, it's weird. It sounds like you're talking to me through a crazy straw.
Let me try to like maybe if I move the camera back and forth again.
Huh.
Still not working?
No, it almost sounds like it's off of the speaker function or something. You know what I'm saying?
I haven't touched it. Let me mute. How about now?
Mm-mm.
I didn't do
Let's
it.
let's stop and restart.
Okay.
Do you want to jump out and jump back in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Check 1, 2.
Oh, there we go. We're back in business.
Cool. So yeah, I ended up getting the job with Hank 3, and which is funny because I told you when I saw him play, I thought, oh man, I'll never find, a band member's that good because he's just ripped. And the funny thing is, if you fast forward from that moment, like 2 months later, I'm on his tour bus as a
Right.
guitar tech. Like,
How did that come together?
well, if you really, I've followed this. It actually goes back to Don Robertson again, funnily enough, because
That
Don
was
Robertson had
blue, man.
got Don Robertson was managing Zeke,
Hmm.
and he had got them on tour with like Super Joint Ritual,
Rad.
which that's Phil
Yeah.
Anselmo and everybody from and Hank 3 played bass, so it was a metal world. I think they were in like Motorhead or something. I can't remember, Danzig. I can't remember, but it was someone big. And basically, the tour manager for the Zeke became friends with Hank 3 on that tour. And I remember Marky was like, I don't know, man. I feel like you're gonna meet him one day or something. Because Marky from Zeke knew about my country stuff. And uh, the tour manager for Zeke ended up tour managing for Hank 3 because he needed a guy, and they ended up connecting like that. And then he was a friend of mine, and there had a guitar tech that quit on the road, and it was like he was like, Bob Wayne, he can
I'll do
tune
it.
the guitar, and so I ended up on a plane and like just rolling up on a Hank 3 tour, and then after that, I became friends with all the band, and it started at sound check. I would be sound checking his guitar and stuff, and I would throw in one of my songs in sound check. I was
Sure.
like, hey man, I just want to hear what this sounds like with like real music. So next thing you know, I'm playing and they're backing me. I had like just even though it was just sound check, I was like in
Right.
heaven. I was like, oh my God. Like it sounds so good with the
With the
steel
band.
guitar and the fiddle and the upright, you know what I mean? The real thing. And I was like, wow. And it doesn't get better than his bands are always, the best.
That's
And
amazing, dude.
like Andy Gibson and stuff. He's just like the greatest walking instrumentalist alive, when it comes to that stuff.
And so it was literally 2 months after walking
Yeah,
out of the off ramp thinking, oh,
depressed.
right.
Like I quit.
And
2 months
you're,
later, I'm playing one of my songs with his band backing me, like in Florida or something. So the first time I ever went to Nashville, I was on his tour bus because it was the end of the tour. I'd never even been there. And then we ended up connecting over like he was playing Pentagram in the back, and I was like, that was back, 2004 or 5 or 2000. The Pentagram hadn't made their like resurgence yet,
sure.
and so it was really kind of underground back then. And I was like, dude, you listen to Pentagram? And he was like, it's actually called Macabre. I said, I think it's Pentagram. And he had like this old burned CD that someone gave him. I had the actual Pentagram CD, and we compared them, and we were like, whoa, that is Pentagram. Then he like found like Death Row, and we started going down this like Pentagram like tunnel, and so we kind of bonded over music. And then he called me up before one tour, and he was like, learn these Pentagram songs, we're going to start playing them as part of the set. So next thing you know, now I'm playing in the metal part, like these Pentagram songs, and so that was cool.
So at that point, you're teching and then getting up and
Yeah,
performing
I
with
get
the
to play
band.
a few songs and of like one of my favorite bands with one of my all-time favorite uh, people. It was crazy. And then what I remember, something happened with an opening band at one point, and they had known that I played my song. They had known that I had songs, but I would never played a show or anything. And I
Yeah.
forgot he threw me up on stage one night, and you were saying what made you make the switch, and I'll tell you what it really was for me was after the show was over and I was done working, I was walking, people were like, can I get my picture with you? And I was like, sure. Nobody ever did that after my metal set.
Right.
Nobody was ever like, yo, man, will you sign this thing? I was like, where do you have CDs? I'm like, nobody's ever wanted to buy a CD at my metal shows. So the difference was the crowd response was the audience. Like, I love both musics the same, but the audience was excited about it, you know?
You got yourself in front of the right audience and
Yep.
validated by what you were making.
Yeah. And so that's what kind of made me think, huh, maybe there's something here, because they liked it, you know, and they wanted it. And then they were like wanting their like nobody ever wanted their picture at the Uncle Rocky's after a show. Nobody said, "Can I get my picture with you?" You know.
No, it was always like, hey, you want to buy a nickel bag?
Right.
That place was pretty shifty. It was
Oh,
fun,
dude,
though.
that was that place was awesome though, man.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, what a crazy. Looking back, it's like a crazy story, man. Really.
Let me ask you this: were you only taking care of Hank Three's guitar, or were you helping with the back line? Like, were you tuning a fucking a banjo and a
No,
mandolin and all that kind of shit for the first time ever?
no. I was just his guitar tech.
Got it.
So, but I would like, you know, I was kind of like of course I
Stage
would help
manager.
load in. I would load in the back line and stuff, but you know, his musicians are really like they're like a fiddle and upright bass and steel. Nobody knows they know their own instruments and they just set them up. I would basically just set up his stuff, you know, and
Yeah,
get it ready for him. So because he's singing for like hours every night. So he has this whole like vocal warm up type thing he's got to go through. So I was basically just a helping hand for just tune his basically just set up the stuff, and he'd come out sound check and you know
make sure he's got a
but
backup ready.
yeah,
Yeah,
my job was pretty much just tuning acoustic guitars, changing the strings, setting up his gear, trying to get the best. Every night's a different battle with the different shitty clubs that we play in. The sound systems sometimes are just horrible. And I would like try to get the vocals up as much as I could for him type of thing. And, you know, it was every night was a different show, and so I did that for a while. I really loved it. I really was like content with that. I was like, man, I love this job. Getting to see Hank Three every night, hand him his guitar every night.
so
It was
he throws you on stage and you do a show. Does his band back you, or are you just you up there with an acoustic?
yeah. The first time we did it, I played like one song. It was a private party type thing, and it was actually Blood to Dust. I played the song, and yeah, his band was just backing me. But when he asked me if I would open up and I could open up the tour and guitar tech, I had my own band
Yeah.
because we wanted it separate. And I did use I think like one of his guys once in a while, but still that wasn't you don't want to have the same band for two. So I ended up getting Donnie from Zeke and couple of members from Zeke. Marky, I don't know if Marky went on that one. Marky ended up playing with me too on a
God, he's
couple
a
of
vicious
tours,
guitar player.
and he could play mandolin like crazy.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, he played mandolin with me, and he was a
Wow.
great mandolin player. Yeah, and but I ended up having my own band um, for that, which then it just became apparent when I was starting to like be able to, play my own shows and stuff. And I was like, man, maybe I should try to like go out into the world, and see what happens.
So, what was the next thing you did after the tour with Hank Three? Like,
So I toured with him for a couple years like that, which got me, and what a great, you don't get a better
yeah,
uh break than that, you
that's a
know.
great foot in the door.
And for me, he plays like 1,500, 3,000 people, but for me, the way we do it, if I get like 50 to 100, I'm that's amazing. Like that was it. Like that's a good amount, you know.
Sure.
And so basically, you know, I got a small handful of his fans that were like became hardcore fans, and like, you know, now I just go play. Well, not now with COVID, but yeah. After that tour, I pretty much just like started. I just kept going and booking my own tours. So back then it was MySpace, and I would just put a thing. Bob Wayne's going on tour. Where am I playing? And so I've never had a booking agent in America. I've always just put a Facebook post or MySpace post, and the people book it. So I end up playing like tool sheds and like, you know, backyards or local bars in random towns, weird everywhere.
And you
Uh,
show up and there's some sort of transaction of money so that you can get to the next town and
that's right. Yeah, if they can do it, or depending on the day, it might. If it's a Monday night, it might be, you know, pork chops, a place to stay, and $50. You know,
right.
whatever. Like just to get through the week. You know, so we would just truck like that forever.
Wow.
Yeah, we still truck like that if we have to. Like I said, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you know, we try to get money, you know, for the gigs, obviously. But sometimes, you know, it's door deals or whatever, you
Sure.
know.
And so do I have this right? You released a song this year, just recently in the last month or two?
Yeah, I just released one. I have another one coming out in a couple weeks, or yeah, 2 weeks.
And did Shooter produce those?
Yeah, Shooter Jennings actually produced that. Uh,
Both of those songs?
No, just the one, Headed to the Country. Yeah. So he's a good friend of mine, and we were talking over COVID, you know, just kind of we did a talk. He was bored at home, and I was like, check out this song I just wrote. He was like, dude, that's killer. Let's do it. So we all took COVID-19 tests, and we had to all get our negative tests, and then we went in the studio, so we knew no one had it, and then we banged out a song, you know, real quick. That was kind of fun to be able to see other musicians, and because I've been pretty isolated this whole time.
Right.
uh, and so I flew to LA and took the COVID test, and we banged out the song, and then, you know, I flew back to Alabama with a buddy of mine, Corey, and we shot the video out here, and yeah, Shooter produced it. He killed it, man. I love that sound. I love what
He's
he
doing
did with
great,
it.
right?
Yeah.
How crazy, when did you meet him?
I can't remember, years ago,
Right. Was
years and
he still
years
doing
ago.
his rock band in LA?
No, no, like 2012 or 13, maybe. I know I had the limo because I met him in Nashville,
Mm.
and I picked him up in the limo, and he was doing some serious music thing. We just kind of met through music, you know. He was like the only person who would play my music on Sirius XM. That's how someone's like, "You're on Sirius." I was like, "What?" Like, "Yeah, Shooter Jenny show." And then I would like listen to it. I was like, "Wow." He would like play Hank 3, me. He was, I think, one of the first people like play all that stuff on like radio rotation type thing.
Right.
He's like one of the only ones that would play my stuff, you know. And so I was like, wow, that's another huge like thing, you know, to get on Sirius. I had a lot of people showing up to shows going, "I heard you on Sirius Radio," you know. So
Incredible.
yeah,
Dude, I mean, how you're 40?
43.
43.
Yeah.
You've had a really adventurous life so far. When you were a teenager growing up in the Tri-Cities, did you have any fucking idea what you had coming down the line at you?
Well, I mean, I had a pretty crazy first, like actually the whole thing is crazy if you think about it. Like my real dad, he was like a FBI agent at one point, and he
What?
he disappeared, and like we never knew him. And then I met him when I was 12. I met him in a record store. This is all on my song Blood to Dust, but I kind of and then like I met him in a record store, and then he died like 2 weeks later after he gave me his phone number of a weird circumstance that my uncle, who I ended up meeting later, ended up telling me that he thought it was like foul play or something. And then but it was supposedly a heroin overdose. But when I was 15, now I don't condone this, and I apologize for it, and I did, but I stole a car and I drove to California, and I was on a bunch of meth. And so when I was 15 years old, I ran away from home, stole a car, drove to California, was living on the beach. Like in high school, I was doing crazy shit. I started following the Grateful Dead, taking acid, like doing crazy shit, and then ended up getting busted and back to Tri-Cities. But I was a minor, so it wasn't like a big deal. But
You were always
like
destined to be a Rolling Stone, is what
right,
you're saying.
right. I remember going to California in a stolen car with nothing but my guitar, going, I'm gonna be Tom Petty. I'm gonna be like the next Tom Petty, I'm gonna, 15, barely playing acoustic, just, you know,
that
yeah,
that's fucking nuts.
yeah. So it's always been kind of crazy. I've always kind of had a weird, like, an edge to the situation of
Right.
life, and I remember actually really clearly when my after the thing happened with my real dad, when I met him and then he died like 2 weeks later. I was in sixth grade. I remember sitting in class and looking around at the school and all the kids and everything and the homework. And I was like, I had this like vivid moment. I still remember it, of clarity, where I was like, I'm not going to go to college. I
Right.
was like, I'm not a doctor or a lawyer. I was like, I'm a worker. I wasn't a musician then, but I knew I was going to be like a worker. So I
Right.
was like, this is all a waste of time. I know how to read. I know how to write. I know how to communicate. I know how to do the basic functions. The rest is like bullshit. So I knew school was bullshit at that point for me. I
Right.
remember thinking like, and I remember even thinking like my friend Rob Harris. I was like, he was so smart. I was like, well, he's probably going to be like a doctor, so school's probably for him. You know,
Sure.
like he needs school because he's probably going to be like a lawyer or something. I knew I wasn't going to be a lawyer. I knew I wasn't going to be any of that. So I was like, okay, I didn't know I was going to be a guitar player or a musician at that point, but I knew that I wasn't going to be part of that world. So I started hanging out with like, the stoners, and we were listening to Metallica, and I started like going to like, you know, let's have fun. I looked at school like have fun, take drugs, smoke cigarettes, listen to music. I
Hook up
remember
with your
like,
friends, right?
yeah, Metallica, Faith No More when they first came out, Smashing Pumpkins, like the '90s. It was the '90s too,
Right.
so it was also like a great time to like find all this underground music and go to shows. And I was just out of the school that I knew at a young age. So, and then once I had a guitar, it was game over. And actually I had been playing guitar since it's always been a kind of a thing, but it didn't become serious till I was a teenager.
Don't you think that it's when we are developing as humans, like as we're growing older and we're trying to figure out who we are and what we do, it's a lot easier to figure out what you don't like and what you're not going to be, right? Then
Right.
I just don't know that many people who at a young age had a clear idea of what they wanted and who they were. I did have a few friends that were, they had a plan from very early on,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I,
not
I feel
many.
grateful. I look at my life and I'm like, wow, I'm so lucky that I had that, uh, because some people, like, especially in this business of creativity, you know, there's no for sure there's nothing is like right now, even it's weird. It's like, and I've never like, you know, I've always just made enough to creep by. Like I bought this house for 12 grand. I got lucky being in all these little spots, but luckily I don't have to pay rent. Like if I had to pay rent through this whole pandemic, I'd be screwed.
Right.
Luckily, I don't have to pay rent. So I just sit out here. I just need food, lights, water, so it's cheap. Um, but I feel really grateful that I kind of avoided that whole society like I've never had a car payment. I've always just bought used car off Craigslist, used whatever. I've always, just rolled like that. No payments, no mortgages, no debts, never had a credit card, never did, just kind of just like lived. And now I'm really
Not a
happy about
single
that.
one of your credit cards was, or not a single one of your tours was ever funded on a credit card?
No,
Wow.
no. I always said, hey man, if we don't sell enough CDs to like pay for this, then we shouldn't be doing it. You know, we did have to save up for Europe because that was really so in the beginning
Yeah,
so
fair.
that would be the only ones that we like saved money, our own money, and
Right.
like paid for our tickets and paid for stuff to get, because it was, but we just looked at it like a vacation. But even then it was like coming close to like breaking even, and we were like, let's keep going.
Right.
you know I remember one tour in Europe, we were like, we actually made like $400, and I was like, we each like profited $100, and we had a paid trip. Like we made our money back for our tickets and our food and everything. So we actually like, we were like, dude, that was awesome. Like we made our money back.
You got paid to go on vacation and do
I
what
got
you
paid
love.
$100 to go tour Europe, and go just look at cool shit. Yeah, so that was cool. But then we just started like building it and growing it. And I've always said, and I'm a firm believer of that. It's like if people aren't like doing that, then I'm like, I shouldn't be doing that, and I'm fine with it. But you have to be honest with yourself too. Like with my metal bands and stuff that I love writing that stuff. Nobody would buy it. Nobody cared. Nobody,
Right.
But then with this Bob Wayne stuff, people want to listen to it. They want to, and I love it too. So I'm cool with either one. But yeah. So I've never like credit carded a tour. It's like I said, if I feel like if it doesn't pay for itself, at least maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should. I wouldn't keep going. Why would I?
I gotta hand it to you, man. I mean, you do this in a fashion that would terrify a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like a
I think
lot of people, would not drive themselves outside of America. You know,
right.
a lot of
Especially,
people,
yeah, England too is weird.
fuck yeah, it is. All those fucking, yeah, it's fucking weird. All those tight little skinny ass roads in Spain too. When you get
Oh
into the
yeah,
villages.
everywhere. Yeah, yeah, for real.
But I mean, way beyond that, just like not just saying, all right, you know, no credit cards. Like we're doing this, come hell or high water, it's gonna happen.
I
And
mean,
saving the money, like a lot of people would put it on a credit card and be like, all right, well, we got to pay this off. And I don't know, it's just you've had an unflinching approach to it that would terrify people. A lot of people also wouldn't wouldn't work on a house like you're doing right now. But when you get to the end and it's done, you're going to have this place you can always go. And
yeah,
that was a snap for you.
yeah, you just do it.
I think you're a fucking genius.
Oh, dude, no, man. Yeah, it's there's some crazy stuff. Even I admit, like a few times, like I remember the first time I toured Brazil. You talk about
Oh,
people would be terrified of it. This was back when MySpace, when on my first Brazilian trip. The Brazilian guys wrote me on MySpace. And I said, can I call you? And they were like, we don't have a phone. And I was like, okay. So I'm looking through their MySpace pictures and I see a Hank 3 tattoo on one of their arms. And
Right.
I was like, okay, all right. And they were like, we learned your songs. And they sent me like a video of them like playing one of my songs, a banjo, guitar, and bass player. And they said, we learned your songs and we want you to come. We'll book the tour in Brazil. And like it was a long one too. It was like all over the place. Like, you know how most bands, when they go to bigger bands, they tour Brazil. It's like Sao Paulo, Rio, the big
Sure.
places. Well, they booked like 30 days, like in the jungles and stuff, like weird places, because they were from there. So he's like, I have a van. And he's typing me, right? I've never talked to the guy, never made words with him. I bought my ticket to Brazil. I had to get all the visas and everything. And I remember some friends of mine were like, dude, be careful over there, man, because you're going to a third world country type place. You don't know, you've never talked to these guys. I was like, no, they don't have a phone, you know. And like,
You're like, these are my people.
so I said, the thing that told me it was okay was the Hank 3 tattoo. When I saw that, the 3 tattoo, my heart, I was like, okay. It was like tribal. It's almost like tattoos kind of still are tribal to me in a way. Like when I saw that, I was like, that guy has a Hank 3 tattoo. I have a Hank 3 tattoo. We're fine.
Right.
That was my logic of why I would do it. Like that was the thing that told me that it's okay. Whereas a lot of people who I know even were like, dude, you're not getting guarantees. You don't know where you're going. You don't know anything. There's
But
no
these guys
no.
are operating on a similar wavelength as you. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, we learn the songs and we'll book the tour. It's going to be great. And you're like, hell yeah, let's do this.
I was like, I'll be there. And I remember getting off the plane and they had one of the promoters pick me up and I was like, okay, this is happening. And then I met the band and they had a little Volkswagen bus and they were like Brazil, man. I was like, next thing you know, I'm freaking in an Amazon jungle, no GPS, no anything. We're just, dude,
How did that tour pan out?
it was crazy, man. It was crazy. Like, it was so hot.
How many
I
shows?
was in this bus that was just, the roads are so crazy there. I never get motion sickness. I had motion sickness from the how many bumps and they do cocaine like we drink water in Brazil because
Right.
it's so cheap and it's just, you know. So I don't do drugs, but like I remember Brazil's weird because like I remember that I was like, there's 5 bands and the first band didn't start till 12. I was like, what the? I was like upset. Like, dude, no, we're going. They're like, no, man, trust me, man. It's okay. We late people here. So we're like going on at like 4 a.m. and the place is packed, you know?
Wow.
And yeah, so it was a great experience, really. But it was, I think that even me, I was pushed a few times. Like, I remember waking up in some middle of nowhere out in the kind of jungle area, nothing around. I was so thirsty. Like my lips were cracked. I was really, really thirsty. I was afraid to drink the water there. So it had to be bottled water. And we got out, there's this like, you know, this guy on the side of the road, and he's got these like bottles of water all set up, but it's like a Sprite bottle with a Mountain Dew cap, a Coke bottle with a Sprite cap on it.
Right.
It's watered and there's like grubby hands all over it. It's like not sealed. And these guys were like getting out, like, oh yeah, man, take the water, and like just drinking it. And I was like, do I risk that? Am I gonna like have like?
Am I going to have diarrhea on stage?
Don't want to have diarrhea in a van
Right.
all day. You know what I mean? Like we have like these huge drives we were doing through like really psycho roads. And I remember just like at that point going like, this, like, I know a lot of people. I've had like 46 people in my band. I was like, this is actually this is actually pretty brutal.
Right.
You know, this isn't your average tour, you
Did you
know.
drink the water?
I did. I
How'd you,
had to. I just was like,
And you
I
were
was
fine.
like, hopefully eating out of all those dumpsters all those years is going to pay off right now. You know what I mean?
You were
Like,
fine.
I was okay. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was okay. It was clean water actually. So that's how
Yeah.
they just did it there. They just reused the plastic bottles at this
Sure.
little truck stop in the middle of nowhere. And the guy, that's how he made his little money, was he just like reused these bottles and would fill it up with actually clean, good water.
Right.
It just wasn't a sealed, clean, new bottled water from the store. So it was kind of weird that I remember being like, ah, shit. Like, okay, I hope this is. These guys are like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's good for you because your stomachs are probably used to it. You
Right.
know. But they're like, no, it's clean water, dude. And so it was cool having them too because they were like, so I had like a Brazilian band, you
Are you
know.
still in touch with those guys?
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's
we're
amazing.
booking tours still. I've been there like 3 times now. We were
Same
booking
band?
some alternate members, but same group of guys, yeah,
So they
and
just
girls.
play your songs beforehand. Do you guys spend a day or two rehearsing, or do you just go and hit
Yeah,
it?
so I flew like a day or two early, and we like ran through the set a couple times, and yeah,
What a fucking adventurous way
yeah,
of doing
dude, what a
things.
crazy thing. Actually, as I'm telling the story, I'm like thinking back, like that was a crazy experience, man. Like, but a great one too. Like, yeah, good
It's not
time. And you
lost
meet.
on you that generally speaking, this is not the way people do things, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not the way people normally do things. And I just, again, I am fucking dumbfounded by your ability to just roll with it and say, yes, let's
Yeah,
go.
you just roll with the flow, man.
Let's
You
go.
know, you just roll with the flow. Oops, I'm sorry. I should have hit silence there. Yeah, so I feel like too, it's like you kind of have to, it's either it comes to a point where if you don't have a, I remember everyone told me like back to, you need a driver, you need a manager, you need a this, you need a that, you need a tour manager, you need a this, and I was like, okay. Then I
All
started
that shit
doing
costs
that.
money.
All that shit costs money, and it was like, okay, we're paying. I was like, do I really need that? Okay, what can I do to, oh, you need hotel rooms every night. We have to have 2 rooms every night. It's like, do we? Or do we try to like stay at people's houses and try to cut, and even
Buy
that
a
gets into
camper
crazy
and drive
times.
around
Buy
and
a camper. We bought this thing. I was touring with this, following, hey, we were all sleeping here, and just doing things. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like getting stuff. It's like if you have to do shit on your own sometimes, or it's not going to happen.
right.
Also the whole, oh, well, you can't just go out and tour the world. You need a booking agent. You need a record label. You need to have a record out that's being pushed with a booking agent and a tour. And I was like, do you? Or can someone just send you a MySpace message and you just bust out your CD burner and just go hit the road, you know?
I seriously think that you've seen these master classes or whatever, right? They're like
Yeah, I
all
should do
these like,
one.
you know, Scorsese's got one,
We
and the
should
guy
do
from
Bob
Rage
Wayne.
Against the Machines got. I think there should be a Bob Wayne one.
Yeah, right. Maybe because there is a lot of little things that I see. I know, understand the upper level too because I've been with it.
Right.
I understand a notch above, and how that stuff works, and that stuff is great too. Like there's nothing wrong. Another thing I've noted,
But you
I've
can
always said,
exist your way in that world.
yeah,
Like you can roll into that world in your fashion, but that world that it cannot roll into your world. It's on. It,
well, they could. They just a lot. They would be like,
why?
why would we? Because they're, But at the end of the day, because I've been on the tour bus, I had my own bunk. I've lived like that, And I've been in a limo, and I've been in a VW bus, and I've been in a Mercedes Sprinter. I've toured in about everything you can think of. And I can tell you one thing: the road is the road. I don't
Right.
care if you're on a tour bus with hotels every night. It's not much different than being in a VW bus, you know, and sleeping on people's floors, really,
Yeah, there's some
because
common discomforts. You're traveling.
it's all just, it's the road is kind of like the road to me. Like, I don't care if you're on a, it's still brutal. It's been brutal on a tour bus, it's been brutal for me. Some of the hardest tours I've ever done was with like Hank 3 on a bus, because he would just go. It would be like, and I wasn't even driving. I had my bed in the back. I was just like I remember, like, some of the most hardest tours were with a driver and a tour manager and hotels and a tour bus.
Where you're
I
not
mean,
occupied,
it's
right?
actually easier in some ways.
You need
Being
something to
in a,
do.
it's a little more freedom. You're not, oh, why is this going on? Okay, sorry. Uh, so yeah, I feel like, just the road is the road is the road. No matter what level you're on, there's this kind of common thing that it's all kind of the same,
Right.
like, at the end of the day, when if you're staying at someone's house, you just have to sleep. A shower is a shower. Sheetrock wood and paint is sheetrock wood and paint, whether it's a hotel or someone's house living room. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's all kind of the same. We're just on this planet,
You're under a roof
So,
or under the stars, right?
right. We've done the stars thing too. We've done camping. We've done, I remember waking up in Germany behind a club with police. Waking up in church parking lots in Alabama with cops. You can't sleep. Just laying my sleeping bag out because the camper was too hot.
Right.
Thinking that a church was a safe place. But
Nope.
so it's been, yeah, it's brutal, man. It can be
uh,
brutal.
I have to go pretty soon because I have to go to my job. But
All right, brother.
is this has this year, do you think, been, I mean, I know that you're in a good spot because you're not struggling in ways that other people are, but has this year been tough because you've traveled and toured perpetually for the last, like, almost 18 years, 19 years,
Yeah.
and you're just in one place pretty much, right?
Yeah, that was weird. There was an adjustment period. The weirdest thing for me, I remember, was when, like, the ketchup bottle ran out. And I was like, whoa. I was like, how long has it been since I've ran out of ketchup? Because I'm never in a spot long enough to even buy enough groceries to, like,
Right.
it was weird to buy ketchup and watch it go down and be like, what the like, it was yeah, so there was like a few like weird things, like being able to like have groceries and
How
it
far
was
away is a
adjustment.
grocery store for you?
20 minutes, there's a Walmart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a Walmart and there's a Winn-Dixie, little dollar stores and stuff. But
What's
but
the name
yeah,
of that town there?
huh?
What's the name of the town there?
It's called Jackson's Gap.
Jackson's Gap.
But yeah, it was weird, but I actually, like, I did a lot of writing and stuff. Like, I wrote a couple screenplays, and it's been good. I think it's, making the best out of it, but hoping that we get back to it. I'm ready to get back to it.
And so, all right, this is going to be the last thing I ask you about because it has to be. But you worked on a couple screenplays. Are they complete?
Yeah. Well, one's a completed first draft, and one is like, I've had like 10 drafts, so it's pretty complete. Yeah.
Are you thinking, I know you have a camera. I know you're working on some stuff and you're doing some video work. Are you thinking of shooting this yourself?
Well, the way they're written, they're pilot episodes for like a series. So they're just written with so many locations, and so it would need a budget.
Right.
So I don't think I could do that DIY. I could maybe shoot a trailer for it to try to help pitch it, but something at that level, you really need, like a lot of money, because you need good actors, and you need like
Sure.
they're real stories, like real pilot episodes setting up threads for big series. So that type of thing, I could shoot it, I could direct that if I had a budget and real things, which I'm working with a producer named Michael Wormser, who's made a bunch of movies, and he's actually in on it. Don's actually helping too. We're trying to like pitch these screenplays around, and who knows? To me, it's the ultimate way of telling stories, is because most of my songs are like storytelling, but the screenplay is real, or this TV series is really how you can get into the characters,
This is the golden age of series as well, right? I mean, it's fucking
Right.
bananas the way stories are weaving and stories are being told through series.
Yeah. I've thought about doing the Bob Wayne DIY style for that. I would have to write something, because with that in mind, of locations, actors. So I would have to like craft something. So far, what I've crafted is like things with big, no limits, car explosions, locations,
Aliens.
just, yeah, right, whatever comes, just let it go, just type it out, free.
Right.
But I thought about, maybe I should like craft something is doable for uh, a short film, maybe even, or something, and something like that, and just start doing that DIY style. But I don't know.
I can't wait. Here's the thing that I know is that if you if you want it to happen, it's going to happen.
That's right, brother. For anyone, I feel like if anyone wants to do anything, they can do it. They just have to do it. Your level of success might not be like millions. You might be, down here, but you can still do it, and you can still, you know, everyone can do it,
If
you
if your
know.
goal is to do it and you do it, then you succeeded.
You succeeded. That's right. That's right.
Whatever happens after that,
It's up to the
that's
universe.
another part of the story. That's a separate
Yeah,
story.
that's up to the universe. You just do it.
Let me ask you this. I swear to God, this is the last question.
I know you got to get to work, man. I got all day, so I'm cool. You can just,
Yeah. Uh, have you ever seen? I mean, you've been all over the fucking place, and you just said car explosion, and I was like, I've seen cars on fire, but I've never seen a car explode. They always explode in in the movies and on TV. Have you ever seen a car explode?
no.
No, I don't think they really do.
I've never have. I've drove by them after they're like burnt to a crisp,
Right. I saw
but
one on fire on one of the bridges leaving New York, and it was just like, oh shit. I'm glad I'm on the other side of this one.
yeah, yeah, and hopefully the only ones I do see are in movies, Hopefully we can blow up a car one of these days, But
Well, you got 6 acres. You can blow anything up out there.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Bob, dude, thank you so much. I feel like I could talk to you for 5 hours.
Yeah, man, that was fun, dude. That was
Uh,
fun.
we're not going to talk about the Couchras video that we're working on, but it's going to be killer.
It is.
It's going to be really killer.
It
And
really is.
I'm super jazzed. I gotta put together a band. I want to put together a fun and interesting band. So we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, maybe I can help with that too,
I'd love it. I'd
because
love it.
I know some people, and maybe we can get a couple heads together and make something cool.
It'll be great.
Yeah, man.
Well, dude, thank you so much. Good luck
Thank
out
you.
there getting everything finished. And who knows, maybe next September you'll see me out there.
Hell yeah, dude. You're welcome anytime.
I'd love to see you and come hang.
You too, brother.
Fireworks.
Hell yeah.
All right, bud. Have a great day, man.
Everybody. All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.